Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It is a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to carry. It's Tuesday. We'll have Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show. We'll also have Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun, who he's a basketball junkie, and he will be at the O'Connell Center tonight. And the number one Tennessee Volunteers roll into town to face the mighty Gators. Should be a heck of a game. I believe it's a 7 o'clock start, thank goodness, and not one of those 9 o'clock SEC games. Missed it last night. National championship goes to the Bison, North Dakota State. They haven't won one in like 3 or 4 years, I believe. It's been South Dakota State. It's always a 4-team race. It's either Montana State, or South Dakota State, or North Dakota State. It's amazing that none of these teams, the Furmans, the Sanfords, none of these teams can get in the hunt. But anyway, congratulations to them. We have football starting Thursday. You got it Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So it should be a good week. Let's go to the Titan Number Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. It's the late night talk show host, Buddy Mark. How you doing, buddy?
Morning, David Letterman here, Shane. I'm freezing. It's 32 degrees in Panama City. It's a little warmer now. I got my gas stove on behind me here, and it's a little warmer. But, yeah, I didn't watch the game last night, and I got to tell you, it's a high brand of football. I know you followed very closely. I know other teams don't get in there. I have no qualms. The two teams that played last night really enjoyed watching that football game, and it kind of matters. It's back to where football used to be, Shane, which is what I love about it. And by the way, that's my theme today, things that matter. Before I get off here today, I hope you give me just about 60 seconds to talk about some things that matter. Besides just football, which, of course, you know, I love. And I've even really enjoyed pro football. We talked about it on the show last night. I watched all 3 games. I even enjoyed Denver beating up on Kansas City. Of course, we know Kansas City is at half their team. But I went through it back in the day when John Elway was there, and they had battle royals between Kansas City and Denver. And I've been to Kansas City when it's been like 2 below almost. I've seen some classic games. So Broncos been a long time since they beat a team like that. And even though it wasn't real because they had so many players, it was good to see them. What a day, Shane. I highly recommend, though, you didn't get a chance to watch it because your whole life is around golf. But anyway, the point is that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are really a good story right now. I've kind of lost my way with Tampa Bay. I was an original season ticket holder, remember when they started, but I've lost my way with them. And now I love me some Baker Mayfield. That game, and he and Mike Evans, the show they put on, it was really good football. It was fun to be excited about pro football again.
Yeah, Baker's a really good football player. He's bounced around. He's found a home there with Liam Cohen calling the plays. He's had a great year. Gator Art on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, Buddy, when is the appropriate time for Christmas decorations to come down?
Great question. I got one for him. What is your appropriate time to stop saying Happy New Year?
I think you're done with Happy New Year.
Oh, you're not. I guarantee you that I'll have at least 10 to 12 more Happy New Years on my show of people that feel obliged to say Happy New Year. So I'd say whatever you want to. I don't know. I'll ask my wife, but I think maybe a week is about it. She wants to leave hers up year round. But I guess it's whatever you want to take it down. I would think it would be after New Year's, Shane, wouldn't you?
Yeah, most people, I think when I was growing up, my mom always took down the Christmas decorations January 2nd. You know, you kept them up through the first, through all the bowl games, and then she took them all down. That's kind of what I do.
You know what, Shane? Pardon me if I interrupt you, but remember this. We had real Christmas trees, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And the one reason you took them down, they
Because
became fire hazards when they got dry. So you didn't want to leave them. When they get the artificial tree, if you want to leave it up for 3 months, that's up to you.
yeah, I remember those. I had a big Saint Bernard growing up.
Yeah. What was his name?
Saint.
Okay. Why not?
Well, I think that's what the mascot. You got to remember, buddy, I was a New Orleans Saints fan.
Oh, that's right. I forgot
So
about
this big old dog. I mean, he was a huge dog. I had
that.
twin beds. He slept in the other bed. But
And,
you know, he would always bang into the tree, and if you kept it up too long, you didn't water it correctly, which it was
yeah.
my job to water it, and so I've
Yeah.
always got just all those little whatever they're called
Yeah.
on the Christmas tree would just start
Right.
falling everywhere.
The branches, just the little
Yeah,
the dry leaves that get
yeah,
brown, they fall down.
whatever they're called.
It's extremely dangerous. It's a
Yeah.
fire hazard. So, but once I got an artificial one, we kept ourselves sometimes for a month. Others leave them home 2, 3. I know one person said they're going to leave them up for the whole year. Well, we'll see. But why not? It's your world.
All right, we got a text here on the Titan our text line. We'll get to some basketball talk and some football here in just a second. Shannon in Little Rock,
All
Big
right.
Suey. I assume he's a Gator fan. He says, buddy, are you more excited for Gator baseball or that non-elite Gator softball program this year?
Okay. Well, go ahead. I want to hear it. I'm never going to live that down. So I'm just going to embrace it. Okay. From now on, I think I'll start calling the non-elite softball program. I'm kind of excited about Gator baseball this year. I see they got Sully about 11, ranked 11 preseason. He's got some really good young players coming in. I like softball because it's easy to watch. It's a short time. I love Tim Walton's team. It's a fast game. I'm a baseball guy. I played changes. I got a letter in baseball at Florida. You didn't know that,
Yep.
did you?
Yeah, you've told me that
Yeah.
before.
Well, anyway, I'm not just saying. And I'm a baseball guy, but really I enjoy watching softball more. But to be more excited, I'm excited to see if Sully get the train back on the track now, get back to the World Series.
Well, they were there last year.
Yeah, but I mean, go back again.
Yeah.
So
The
go back.
we're pine needles. That's what we're referring to, pine needles. Well, just so you know, buddy, I believe I saw the other day the preseason rankings in softball.
11 is where I saw.
Huh?
What was and you for Sully? What
No,
did you say?
I'm talking about for the non-elite program.
Okay, softball.
The Texas Longhorns are number 1.
Okay.
The Mighty Lady Gators are number 2.
Wow.
And the Oklahoma Sooners are 3.
Wow.
Yeah. Tim has a chance to have his best team he's ever had.
Hmm.
So it should be fun. But people like to pick on Buddy. Why they like to pick on you, Buddy?
I'm old, Shane. I'm
We all
helpless.
know.
I'm defenseless. So come on, bring it. I can take it, by the way. And I want to be sure to get a chance to say a shout out to a couple of people today. Buddy McKay, you've heard that name. But in Ocala parts, he was legendary, and he was a former governor of Florida briefly. He was a longtime legislator, and then he was a lieutenant governor under Lawton Childs, then took over when Lawton Childs died. I knew his family very well. I knew all. I had dinner at their house many times. He passed at 91 of this past on Christmas Day, I believe. So I want to be sure and say my condolences to the McKay family. They're very important. They were really, really great people. And then finally, I want to also be sure and mention Wes Wheeler. I know Wes Wheeler's the guy, Shane, he sends out over 500 birthday cards every year. 500 birthday cards.
Wow.
Personally, pays for it. Just get your birthday down. What's your birthday, Shane?
June 1st.
Okay, he will always know your birthday is June 1st. Well, it's his birthday this weekend. It's our time to say happy birthday to my buddy Wes Wheeler in Ocala. So happy birthday, Wes.
The Pouncey Twins provide all of Gator Nation with the highest quality liqueurs made by J.F. Hayden Craft Liqueurs. Find your favorite flavors at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We got Buddy Martin here on the Titan MR hotline, brought to you by Comfort Temp. Tony responded that the golf team has a chance to have a tremendous year. Yes, they do. I've been working with them, Tony, just so you know. No, I'm just kidding. Ian Gilligan just won another amateur event somewhere, but he's a stud for sure. Matt had a question on here, buddy. Have you heard this Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Law? Have you heard anything about the possibilities of Will Muschamp running the defense for the Gators?
I've not heard that. No, I've not heard it. And that would be interesting. Uh, Will Muschamp should have worked here. He had all the things he needed to come and work, but it didn't work out. I know Steve Spurrier thinks the world of Muschamp, as
I
you know.
do too.
Yeah, and he would go even to the SEC meetings. He would take the team plane to stop, pick up Will, and go together. Thinks a lot of Will. So I don't know why would he want to do that when he could do it for Georgia.
Well, he's not coaching at Georgia. He's just a consultant. He's not even an analyst there anymore. I don't know
Really?
why
Chance
I don't know.
side?
No,
I thought
because
he was coaching.
he's been spending time with his family. I don't know why he would want to get back into.
Oh,
I mean, coaches.
I thought he was coaching there.
No, no, he coached for like maybe last year, may have coached some, but he's just he's a consultant now.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Um,
It'd be a good choice. I haven't
Yeah.
heard anything. First I've heard it.
he's as good as there is defensive mind. I mean, pretty much the NFL guys that are still playing in the NFL are because of Will Muschamp bringing
Yeah.
them to Florida.
He did have some great defensive players.
Yes, he did. All right, buddy. You excited for the basketball game against Tennessee tonight?
I am. This is huge tonight. I really enjoyed that basketball game on Saturday, despite the fact that Florida lost it. Unfortunately, didn't make enough foul shots. Couldn't guard the three. Bray was on fire. And to be up that much early in the game and watch it go up 11 and so you have it 10, down 10 by halftime is unfortunate because they played better than that. It was 106 up to 100 final score. But I think we all know that Kentucky got all it wanted, and some of Florida's best players didn't play their best. Walter Clayton Jr. doesn't miss foul shots like he missed. Too many missed foul shots, a few defensive lapses, but boy, they're fun to watch.
Yeah, they are. It'll be fun tonight. It'll be a tough task for sure.
Hey, Shane, I heard this. I don't know how accurate, but I heard it saw it online. They're really mad because this is apparently winter break, and there's a lot of students who are not going to be there. And they sold some of the student tickets down in what they call, I guess, the lower part of it down there.
School hasn't started back?
Well, apparently not from what I'm reading online. What I'm reading online is that the kids are not, but they can still get their tickets. Here's what it said. It said Gators are kicking students out of the lower bowl. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just reading what I saw. Student section only giving us 60 tickets down there for number one Tennessee. Unbelievable. Now, I don't know any more than that, but apparently it is a school. Maybe someone who's more informed could tell us about that. And
Yeah, I'm definitely not aware of that at all. Just so everybody know, Will Muschamp did not coach at Vanderbilt. His younger son is a backup quarterback at Vanderbilt. Will has been at Georgia for the last 3 or 4 years as an analyst. He is just a consultant this year because he wanted to spend time with his family and go to some Vanderbilt games. So there.
Okay.
Got that cleared up. Text on the Titan More text line from Frank. He says, a lot of Jaguar fans are upset about Doug Peterson being fired. What are your thoughts?
I can see why.
I like Doug Peterson. I think he's a heck of a football coach. I think Doug Peterson made a mistake, like a lot of coaches do, giving up play calling. He won a damn Super Bowl calling plays.
Yeah.
And he's a really good play caller. Why he let Taylor call plays, I don't understand it. Now he's out of the job, but I think he's a good coach. He'll probably end up being the quarterback coach for the Chiefs because I think Matt Nagy, who is the quarterback coach there, is going to end up getting a job somewhere else. So they revolve around and go back to Andy Reid when they get fired.
Shane, I could be the quarterback coach of the Chiefs. Give me Patrick Mahomes.
Well, no doubt. No doubt. Andy says the Bears say they want to talk to Ben Johnson and McCarthy. I saw that Mike McCarthy's under contract. I don't understand how that works. I don't know why they want to talk to Mike McCarthy. I would go throw the house at Ben Johnson to get him. I think he is one of the best play callers I've ever seen. But I'd also, if I was the Jaguars, I'd go throw the house at him as well.
Yeah, I agree with you on Johnson. I really like the way he runs the game. His play calling is exceptional, fun to watch. Shane, did you hear about the weather on Friday? There's going to be a snowstorm in Dallas, and they're not
Really?
sure if they'll be able to play the game or what's going to happen. Someone can update us on it, but I read it this morning. Cold weather. You know, here's my message to the people in college football. If you're going to follow the model of the NFL, go back and study what they started when they did it this way. Pete Rozelle was the one who started in the 60s, said, we're always going to have championship games in a warm climate neutral site.
Yeah,
And it was
but they
brilliant.
can't they close the roof in Dallas or no?
Apparently not. I don't know. I don't know. So, but there's going to be bad weather. It's going to be, well, that doesn't help people getting to the game, but they can't get there. It's going to be a blizzard, really one of the worst ever. And they're worried about getting the game in. And apparently, someone says, this guy says, in my opinion, the odds of the Cotton Bowl being played Friday are significantly under 100%. Now, I don't know that, but I do know there is a blizzard coming through there. And if you're going to follow the NFL model, go back and study why they did it, Shane. You know why they did it? They put the championship game in a warm climate. They got the most impactful people to come there because the first Super Bowl wasn't sold out. It's in LA.
But they had a Super Bowl outdoors in New York, right? A few years
So
ago.
I know later. I'm talking about when they started the model. That was unique. That was because they wanted to do it. But the bottom line was they put it in there because it was a playland. They had parties. They invited people to come. They got the 100 most influential columnists in America, and back then they were the ones influencing you to come to the game. And they gave them they basically gave them food, booze, party, atmosphere, total access to players and coaches. Although Super Bowl II in Miami, I remember I was talking to my buddy Neil Abner. He and I both were young Cub reporters then. He's the former sports editor of the New York Times when I was sports editor of the Daily News. And we remember going up to the hotel room to interview Donnie Anderson. That would never happen in a million years. Now, the point is, the weather is a factor in games like this. I think when they start thinking about it, they might want to consider the possibility of the second game late in January, looking at a neutral site there. Have the
I don't, I understand about the fans and stuff, but I don't think the field's going to be affected at all. The hole in the roof there at Dallas is not that big. And so even if it's snowing, if it's snowing during the game, it's not going to be a whole lot of snow in the stadium.
Well, I'm just telling you what I've been reading. I'm not a weather forecaster. It's not just the game. It's getting to the game. It's people getting to the game. It's planes coming out of there. It's a lot of things to go into a game like that. So we'll see. But yeah, we got football this week, Thursday and Friday.
Yes, we do. BCS Gator says there are limited student tickets in the lower section tonight. My daughters are current students and they are not happy about it.
I think it's closed now. Yeah, I think you can't get them anymore.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I don't understand why they've always had that one side lower level has always been for first come, first serve for the students.
Because it's money.
Once the doors open, they haul ass and run into the stadium.
Well, it's money. It's a big money, big game. They're going to say anything, everything.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
They don't listen. The game doesn't belong to the students, the media, or the fans. It belongs to the guy who with the goals. And that's what the go belongs to.
Buddy Art wants to know here on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Does Buddy think they are playing in the old Texas Stadium?
Look, Art, why don't you go online and get informed about it? All right, and get back to me on that. Understand, it's not just the people at the game; it's all the workers. It's people getting to the game. They don't know how to drive in snow in Dallas. Okay, so remember, it's more than just the game. It's everything around the game, and just go online and read about it and get back to me.
Dan says DFW Airport has equipment for snow. Highways will be fine. They have been treating the roads since yesterday.
All right.
So
I rest my case.
Real quick, buddy. I want to do this day in sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life. Campus USA Credit Union. Buddy, in 1899.
I wasn't around.
You sure?
Let me check. Was I around 1899? My wife says no.
Walter Camp publishes his first All-American football team in Collier's.
Right.
What is Collier's?
Collier's is a magazine.
Magazine?
Yeah,
Okay.
there were several big magazines, Collier's Look, whatever. And
You know,
Colliers was a big, they had these. I think, in fact, when they started putting Ed Sullivan started putting the team on the TV when they introduced Spurrier as being from Miami that year. They Colliers Magazine was the sponsor. It was their All America team, I believe.
what brought that up is a buddy of mine sent me a clip the other day of an old Bob Hope All-American team. You remember he
Yeah,
used to
that
have
was
that
it.
show?
That was it. Yeah, of
I used to watch that as a kid. It was great. He used
course.
to crack jokes about the players. It was great.
Yeah, yeah.
It was great.
That's all. It was terrible with the names.
They want to know here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel, any chance Parker Jones hits the portal? I don't even know who Parker Jones is.
I don't either.
Should we know who that is?
Is he the guy that got the penalty from Georgia on the sideline because he got in the way of the? I don't know. I don't know who part was.
Well, the kid that got the penalty on the sideline of Georgia's a walk on. I don't know his name though. So
Too many names. Too many names. Shane, the draft's coming up, and Cam Ward's starting to get some run now as perhaps the number one pick overall. We kind of forgot about him because he didn't end very gloriously the season in Miami. But you think he'd be number one pick overall?
oh man, I don't know. I like some stuff about Cam Ward. I don't like his um, nonchalant sometimes in the pocket and running around. He's going to get freaking murdered in that league, buddy, if he does that. Those are trained killers.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. I don't know who has the first pick? The Giants?
I think so.
I don't. I
They'll screw it up.
The Tennessee Titans
Right.
have the first
Okay.
pick. Thanks, Jack. I don't know. I haven't really looked at the quarterbacks that are coming
Right.
out.
My bad.
Um,
Too early.
here's my belief. If I'm running an organization, buddy, and we have quarterback problems, if there's not a surefire stud that I know that's going to translate into a 8 to 10 year
Right.
really good player, I'm
Right.
going to get a dude who's played in the league. Whether people like it or not, a Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is a very good football player. Is he on the downside of his career? Downside, yes. But I would much rather have Kirk Cousins than I would some rolling the dice on some first round pick. That's just me.
You buy used cars too, right?
Yeah, with not a whole lot of miles on
Me too.
it. Mark says Jackson Dart, number one QB. Now, I love Jackson Dart. I think he's a tremendous college quarterback.
No, I don't think he's a number
He
one.
will be a backup for 2 or 3, 4 years in the league, and then hopefully he can make it longer than that.
I can understand Cam Ward. He's big, strong, has a big arm.
Yeah, but here's the thing: we don't know. Everywhere he's been, they've run a version of Leach's air raid. Okay, I don't know his I don't know his football IQ. I don't know how he can retain information. A lot of that goes a long ways. I don't care what he does at the combine. The combine is one of the dumbest things in all sports, in my opinion. Think about all the guys that go in shorts and they bench press 400 pounds 50 times, which doesn't matter on a football field. How far they throw the ball, how hard they throw the ball, how high a guy jumps. None of that translates to playing football. Now, it shows your athleticism, but anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
Well, remember this: Tennessee loves to run the football, right? It's just how it's always been.
Talking about the Titans?
Yeah.
I don't know if they do now. Derrick Henry's not there anymore, remember?
Well, but they still don't love to run the football, right? Don't they still? I haven't seen him play. I don't know. I've not watched any NFL till recently. I love the games I saw this weekend. I got excited about it again, but I don't know the answer. It's way too early to start thinking about that anyway. Let me ask you a question, Shane. You don't watch a whole lot of TV. There's a program out on Paramount now called Landman, but about Thornton's in it. It's about a guy who's an oil guy out in Texas. It's really hard knock. It's a tough, hard show to watch, but they got some really good actors. Of all things, I saw a clip on there that was just blew me away. One of the most authentic looking, feeling comments. I highly recommend it by people. The guy I think is a total phony. And he did this, not an actor. It was just brilliant. I was showing my wife when we started. It's about a guy who's in the hospital with a friend, and he's explaining to him, you got to put your duck eggs in this basket. You got to be, it's about your kids. He says, one of the reasons I bought this team and got into the oil business was to work with my kids. I wanted them to be with me. And he talks about all the days and nights he spent with them. It is one of the most brilliant things about parenthood. If you got kids, and most of us do, you always feel guilty because you haven't done the right thing or spent enough time with them or taking them fishing or playing golf. But Jerry Jones delivers the most unbelievable comment with Billy Bob Thornton. And the name of the show is Landman. I've watched it. It's very powerful. It's a little salty, man. I like the language. But Jerry Jones, would you think Jerry Jones would do something like that? Do a movie and be so brilliantly sincere? Well, he's one of the most insincere people I know.
Yeah, I've not heard anything about that.
Check it out, Shane.
All right.
And by the way, go back and check out this. I'm gonna let you go because you're gonna let me go. You got to get back on Baker Mayfield and watch the replay of that game. And Mike Evans.
I think I've always been a Baker Mayfield guy.
Go back and watch. It's worth rewatching, really. The third and fourth quarter, especially. It's a really you will love it. And if you like Baker Mayfield, and you do, and Mike Evans, who could not love Mike Evans, it is one of the best games I have ever seen in the National Football League.
All right. Real quick, text on the Titan More text line. Kevin says, do you think Graham Mertz will get a look? Yes. I don't know if he'll get drafted coming off the knee injury. He will sign a free agent contract. If he goes to a West Coast, if he goes to the Rams, to the Broncos, to the 49ers, anybody in that Shanahan tree, he will be in the league for a while as a backup. I did talk to some people during the football season. A lot of scouts liked him a lot. He's the perfect backup for the National Football League. Smart guy, good teammate. I think he will be a backup. Rob says, oh, no, I'm sorry. Barone71 says, oh, man, whatever GM drafts Jalen Milroe will be fired. All he'll be able to do in the NFL is run the Wildcat.
I agree with that. I think he's a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah. I've always joked around about calling him TJ Yeldon, a running back who can throw a little bit.
I remember.
Yeah. Well, because he wore number 4 for Alabama too. But
okay.
Who you got on the program tonight before we get you out of here?
Tonight we're getting Lauren Meadows is hosting. You'll have Rob on tonight, Rob Brown. I'm going to take a night off and just lollygag a little bit tonight, but no, they'll have a good show tonight. Check them out, 9:00 Eastern on YouTube. We're back tomorrow night with our usual crew. We're doing a Thursday morning show because we have night football with Rob Brown and his crew. We're going to be doing that on Thursday morning at 9:00. So tune us in. It's fun. And by the way, check out Gator Bay while you're there.
All right, buddy. Appreciate your time. That's Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show. Join us on the Titan Number Hotline. Andy says real quick, did I see Trey Lance's brother? He's a wide receiver for the Bison. He's damn good. He's a really good wide receiver. I think he's got another year there. Jalen Hurts throws the ball way better than Jalen Milroe ever did. We're going to take a quick timeout. We'll come back. We'll be joined by Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun. He'll break down the Tennessee Vols basketball team, what we shall see in the O'Connell Center.
Big game tonight. Big game.
You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Crime Prevention Security System, Titan MRI, Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, Dave & Buster's, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Bishop's Pitmaster Barbecue, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Cogent Bank, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Signs, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Okido America, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Unleash the Inferno.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Rules Over State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit overinsurance.com. Give them a call, 352-240-1779. We're waiting on Kevin Brockway to join us here. Let me text him. He probably is asleep. Oh, no, this computer shut down on me over here. We'll have to pull it back up. All right, so let's get to a couple of texts here. I can pull it up. This is a text here from Jimmy. He says, can you ask Kevin what he thinks the keys to winning tonight against Tennessee are? So we'll start with that. Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun. Good morning, Kevin. How you doing, buddy?
Good morning. Yeah, they're going to have to match Tennessee's physicality, I think, first and foremost. Taking care of the basketball, too. Zakai Ziegler is kind of a pest. We saw at the end of the first half with Walter Clayton, kind of what happened there. And that put, Florida in a little bit of a hole at the half. You got to, take care of the ball better. I think just, obviously, shot making is going to be important, too. And a little more, I think, inside from Condon. I thought Chinyelu played really well in that Kentucky game, but you'd like to have a little more balance inside and out scoring and not be as guard heavy with Clayton and Elijah Martin relying on a lot of your points.
Yeah. Kevin, do you know, because we were talking with Buddy and a couple of the listeners chimed in, I guess they sold some of the student tickets that are normally the Rowdy Reptiles areas. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, well, I mean, the students aren't back yet, so they normally.
Oh, so that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Students are not back until.
Did we lose Kevin? Okay. All right. So we lost Kevin there. He's internet issues. All right. I'm going to tell him to reboot. Stand by, folks. Okay. Andy, I'll ask Kevin your question when we come back here in just a second. Can you hear me, Kevin?
Okay, sorry about that.
You're back.
I can hear you.
You're back.
Yeah.
All right. So the students are not back into school. That's what the deal is, right?
Yeah, students are not back yet. Yeah, they're not back till the 12th, till the 13th, which kind of threw me for a loop. They're usually always back to first Monday in January, right?
They've been out forever, it seems like.
Yeah.
Huh. Andy's question on Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Law. He says, Kevin, how does FanDuel think the Gators are 2.5-point favorites tonight?
Well, they're the #8 team in the country. I mean, this is just the way it is with the SEC. I mean, they're still a 13-1 team. You're playing at home. I mean, I think home court in college basketball in general accounts for a lot. I mean, if you look at the first week of the SEC schedule, I think it was, basically almost all the whole team won, other than Vanderbilt going into LSU. So, it's just, I think that's kind of just a way of college basketball. Generally, you're more comfortable shooting in your own gym. The sight lines are better. Your own gym. And I mean, if you look at the percentage of college basketball overall, and also you tend to get the benefit of the doubt of the whistles as well. I mean, that's at every level. That's college, pro, NBA too. And that's going to count to something. And Florida's a team, we saw in the Kentucky game. I mean, they got to the line 35 times. I mean, that's going to be another thing too. They had kind of an uncharacteristically bad free throw shooting game against Kentucky. That really hurt them. They left a lot of points out there, and that's an area where they're going to have to be a little better. But you tend to shoot your free throws better at home as well.
Yeah, I think in the SEC where there's so many good teams, doesn't matter who you're playing, I would say majority of the time the home team is probably going to win the game. It's just the way it is in college basketball for some reason. Kevin, for people that have not watched Tennessee, we all know about Dalton Connect last year, phenomenal player. Who has kind of stepped in and replaced him?
Well, Chaz Lanier, I mean, this kid is leading the SEC and scoring 20.3 per game. Kid from up the road in North Florida, who 6'5" guy. He could score inside, he could score outside, 46.7% from three. So they haven't missed a beat there. And Igor Milicic gives them a little something inside in the interior. Jordan Gainey is a guy that comes off the bench and scores for them. He's a really good six-man. He's averaging about 11 a game. So they've got, it's funny because under Rick Barnes, what has really, kept them from being a Final Four team the last 2 years is the fact that, they're always going to play defense. They're always going to be physical, but offensive efficiency, they tend to go into droughts. I mean, if you remember 2 years ago, when Florida beat them here at the Dome, I think they scored only about 4 to 6 points in the last 10 minutes of that game, and Florida won a game, somewhere in the 60s to 50s range. This year's Tennessee team can score a little bit better. They're a much better offensive team. Ken Pom, the number one rated defensive team and offensive rating right now. They're in the top 30. So, but this isn't your typical Rick Barnes team of the last 2 years. That way, they're a little bit of a better offensive team, which makes them that much more dangerous, and why they're number one in the country.
Where's the Lanier kid from?
He went to UNF. Yeah, North Florida. He went to UNF.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. I was thinking you were saying North Florida up in that area for high school. I know exactly who you're talking about now. Yeah. Yeah. I forgot he was an Osprey. Kevin froze up on us again. In the meantime here, Wolf Gator says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, weak flaw on our team is the fact we don't have a true point guard. Clayton shifted from scoring guard to point guard. He's not a natural point guard. I hear you, but I don't think it's really mattered. I mean, give me your thoughts on that, Kevin.
Well, we'll see as SEC play progresses. I mean, the assist turnover ratio is about, I think I wrote 54 to 31. So ideally, you'd like a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. I think he's been adequate in terms of handling the ball. He could probably be a little better. But until that Kentucky game, he hasn't been a detriment. But we're going to see in the SEC, though, because, you're going to be facing a lot more athletic teams. And it's going to be something that's going to be on a scouting report. And Florida, I asked Todd about it yesterday, and Todd basically said, if there's any ways that he could help him. And his only feeling is, maybe give him a little more rest, and you play Denzel Aberdeen a little more. But Aberdeen has had his moments at the point too, where he can be a little shaky, but I think you will see them mix and match in that regard. But they do play kind of a positionless style where, they don't really necessarily rely on Walter initiating offense all the time. But bringing the ball up the court, is going to be important for them to, for Walter to continue to take care of the ball effectively. And it's just kind of the way they're built right now. I don't think they think a guy like Klavshar, who might be a more, he's more of a combo too. Denzel is more of a combo. I mean, Zion Pullen was by far, one of the steadiest point guards they've ever had. So there was going to be a natural drop off, but I think Walter's been okay. And he can score from that position too, which is a huge weapon.
Chris Hare brought up a good point that I didn't really think about, but Pullen was a great point guard, but he was kind of a slow it down type point guard, right? He didn't like to push the tempo. This team, they get out and run, and I think all the guards can handle the ball. They share it well. We'll see moving forward, like you said, once conference play plays, but some of these true point guards, they just slow the damn game down, in my opinion.
And one more point. The great thing about Clayton too is he's a guy that he can speed it up, and very much like Anthony Roberson 20 years ago, can pull it up, knock down a three. That's a huge, to have a guy that can do that from time to time and get a bucket when you really need it. And he scored 33 in that game That's a huge asset to have, and that really is a way to stress an opposing defense when you have a point guard that can score like that.
All right, football question here, and then we'll get back to basketball. Greg asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel, will Dez be at the combine? No, he will not get invited to the combine. At least I don't think he will. Only a handful of people will go. What do you think, Kevin? I'm gonna let you answer it as well.
Yeah, I don't think he's at that level where they're going to send him. Yeah.
No.
I don't know if you saw the Tyreek Sapp news. I guess Zach Alberverdi just reported that it looks like he's going to come back. So that's kind of a boon for the defensive line.
Oh, okay. Did not realize that. Text
Yeah.
on the Titan Mar text line from Bobby. He says, Kevin, being a Miami Hurricane like yourself, I would like to know your thoughts on the Jim Larranaga situation.
Thoughts on the Jim Larranaga situation. I found it somewhat laughable, and I like Jim. And listen, Jim, he took Miami basketball to great heights. I was there when Leonard Hamilton was there, and Leonard Hamilton, I think, took the first step in reestablishing the program, but Larranaga took it to another level. Like, I never thought in my lifetime I would see Miami basketball get to a Final Four, and they did. And he got to a few, Sweet 16, Elite 8, and so forth. But I know a lot of coaches, he's not the first one. Tony Bennett, obviously, earlier in the year, talking about bemoaning about the state of NIL. And yet, you look at a guy like Donnie Jones and Stetson, right? And Jim Larranaga poached his best player, Jalen Bachman. So it's kind of like a little bit of a pot calling a kettle there situation, and he went out and he got Nigel Pack, obviously from Kansas State, and they gave him a good NIL deal. So look, it's just the way of college basketball, either, Todd Golden has said adapt or die, right? And some of these coaches that are deciding to get out. But Jim played the game a little bit at the end there, and it benefited him, and he got Miami to a Final Four, but now he's deciding that this is a time to step away, and at 75. It'll be interesting to see who gets that job next to, and how attractive of a job that is, because it's really, hard to compete in the ACC and those blue bloods with Duke and North Carolina. Whoever's going to come into that job, like Jim Larranaga, is going to have a real thick skin and be really competitive.
Florida Crackers, the brand for original Floridians, great food and Southern hospitality in the center of the universe, Brooksville, Florida, floridacracker.com. We got Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun here on the Titan Tomorrow hotline, courtesy of Comfort Gym. Kevin, we've played one game in the SEC, the league has, and I know you watch a lot of basketball. Is there anybody that surprised you so far in the SEC?
It's hard to say at this point. Missouri has been pretty good, and they come to town next week, and they've been up and down under Dennis Gates, but I think that they have a team that could be pretty good. And Vandy going into LSU, I think Byington is doing a nice job there. And I think they're a team that bears watching, but this league is going to be, tremendously topsy-turvy throughout the course of the year, Shane. I still think Florida, I think, this is a front-loaded kind of schedule here. I mean, they could start 1-2 or 0-3. But I think that there's a gap in the middle of the schedule where they will make a run. And I think this is a team that's capable of winning 12, 13 SEC games and being in the mix at the end of the season. Not necessarily maybe winning it, but they're going to be up there, and that's going to bode well for their seeding in the NCAA tournament. I think they got a good shot, certainly to contend with some of the big boys. But for that to happen, they're going to have to, clean up some things defensively a little bit. And certainly, the ball handling and taking care of the basketball too is going to be important.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, every game is different. People just need to realize just because they miss free throws in Lexington doesn't mean they're going to miss a bunch of free throws tonight.
And look, the 06-07 team that I covered missed a lot of free throws. All right. But you could overcome that by, being mentally tough, playing hard defensively, being locked in every possession. And there are a lot of different ways to win a basketball game. And the best teams are the ones that find different ways to win a basketball game during the course of the season. And I think that what's holding them back is, being, trying to be more of a complete team defensively, which I think they showed progress in the non-conference schedule, but took a little bit of a step back in that Kentucky game.
Jeff's question on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Is Leonard Hamilton in his last year at FSU, his age, and now the news of the lawsuit against him concerning the NIL deal gone bad?
Yeah, I had heard that rumor a couple of years ago that FSU's players almost almost had a player strike because they weren't getting their NIL checks. So yeah, it's a bad look on the program. I talked to someone close to the program who told me that the Leonard retirement rumors this year weren't true. But he's another one that's obviously an old school coach that's getting up there. And because it's interesting, I mentioned him. What back when I was a student at Miami, he was coaching there, which is more than 30 years ago. So he's in his mid 70s now, getting to his late 70s. So he might decide that this is kind of the time to step away.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, he does not look his age, and he's had a good career. It may be time to hang it up, for sure. Kevin, we've had some people ask some questions on about football. I know you follow all the programs at Florida, but the biggest question is, will there be coaching changes? What are you hearing, or what are you allowed to say? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I've heard nothing on the offensive coordinator front. If Billy will have one. I mean, there is a defensive opening right now. Obviously, Edgar Thompson reported the general manager search, which is interesting. And I think that in terms of the coaching situation right now, it's been a little more quiet in terms of what they're going to do on the defensive side of the ball. When I asked Billy if it was going to be a coordinator position or a linebacker position during the bowl game, he kind of said more or less like to be determined in that situation. But I would think that they would bring someone in that, has that defensive acumen that maybe can work with Ron Roberts. And that, like I said, is going to be, mainly the focal point, but nothing on the OC front if they're going to hire one. And I think that that situation remains up in the air.
Text on the Titan Mar text line from George. He says, Kevin, what are your thoughts on Bruce Pearl?
Bruce Pearl, obviously went through a lot of compliance issues up and down at Tennessee. And certainly it bled into the beginning of his tenure at Auburn, but the guy can flat out coach. And obviously Todd learned under Bruce, worked under Bruce. And you can see some of his philosophies. And the thing about Bruce is, tempo, not afraid to recruit smaller guards. There are a lot of coaches that will say, I'm not going to, recruit a guy unless he's 6'3", 6'4". Bruce got to a Final Four with Jared Harper, who was 6'1", and Bryce Brown, who was 6'2", and like Billy Donovan, they believe in, if you can play, you can play. We're not going to put you in a box in that regard. And certainly can flat out recruit, and has, obviously been in the SEC a long time, knows the league, knows what it takes to win in the league. And that Auburn team with Janai Broom is going to be up there. I mean, it's going to be them, it's going to be Alabama, it's going to be Tennessee. And I think it's going to be Florida. And I think Florida will be there. But can they get to the top? I think that's a big question.
Yeah, I don't know Bruce Pearl at all. I can't even remember all his issues that he went through. But it just, the things that I see, different clips that they run on him, he looks like a player's coach to me. Kids love playing for him. And obviously his X's and O's are very good. And he's kind of found a bunch of diamonds in the rough. Janai Broom came from what small school?
Morehead State, defensive player of the year. And
yeah,
defensive player of the year in the Ohio Valley. And he's gotten better offensively. And his evaluation skills are very good and have always been, even pre-transfer portal era in high school recruiting as well. He's always been able to find guys that fit his system, and that's the key. And he's kind of built a culture, like you said. Guys like to play for him, and but also a guy that's very outspoken as well, and a guy that can be a little bit of a lightning rod that way. In terms of how he acts. I know when he began coaching in the SEC back in 06 and 07, he wasn't very popular among SEC coaches because they viewed him as a little bit of a hot dog. But I think his personality over time has probably matured in that regard.
Yeah. Dan says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel, thanks for asking Napier the 4 wide receiver question. Right. You actually asked Russ Callaway, right?
I asked Russ Callaway. I didn't ask Billy Napier. Yes. And he said,
you finally asked it, because I've been asking every media person on this show for 3 years now to ask it, and you asked it, and the answer was just dumb.
Yeah, you owe me a beer for that, Shane.
You're dang right I do. Tell people what the answer to the question was.
The answer to the question was, it's about getting your best 11 on the field.
Yeah, that's dumb. Okay.
Yeah.
You
said they've considered it, but it's about getting the best 11 on the field.
Yeah, I can promise you, if I want my best pass catchers that can score touchdowns, I got 4 dudes that are sitting over there that are better than our tight ends. Nothing against the tight ends, but I'm talking about there are certain times in a game when you want to put speed and dudes that can score like that on the field.
And you remember too, this was a coaching staff that you talk about getting your best 11 on the field that last year wasn't necessarily creative enough to find a way to get Montrell Johnson and Trevor Etienne on the field at the same time.
You don't even have to be clever to do that. It's never going to happen. So,
yeah.
So, all right. Before we get you out here, Kevin, who wins tonight?
I think the Gators are going to win. I think they are. And if they do, it'll be their first win, Shane, against the number 1 team ever in the regular season, which is amazing. They're 2-17, 2 wins against Ohio State in the national championship game in 2006 and Duke in the Sweet 16 in 2000, both under Billy Donovan. But I think this sets up really well for them. I think they're in a 2.5-point favorite for a reason. I just think the SEC, and you still have the factor of kids traveling, going into opposing. It's a sold out O-Dome, so I do think it's going to be loud, even though the students are going to be there. And I think Florida's going to find a way to bounce back from the Kentucky loss. Had they beaten Kentucky at Rupp, I think they would have maybe come into this game a little more complacent too. But I think desperate teams at home tend to play pretty well in the SEC, and I think Florida will play with that level of desperation tonight.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see a lot of desperation is probably the wrong word to use, but in the league, when you lose a game or a couple of games in a row, you're going to have to play your tails off to not fall too far behind, because the league is so good. Kevin, let everybody know they can follow you on Twitter and watch your podcast as well.
Yeah, at Kevin Brockway G1 on Twitter, Gatorsports.com and Gainesville.com. So Shane, as always, appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend. We'll talk to you later. That's Kevin Brockway. Does a tremendous job covering the Gators for the Gainesville Sun. When Urban Meyer wanted to introduce his high-quality tequila to the Gator Nation, he made sure to get it to the HBC and his team at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Dorn's Liquors. Go beyond with smooth Los Linderos tequila. Go take you some tequila shots tonight, folks. I think the Gators win tonight as well. Appreciate you chiming in, and we'll see you here tomorrow. Take care.